Hello everybody, welcome back. Today we are continuing Unit 13 on probability and graphs. We're going to be focusing on combinations today. Before we get into that, let's review what probability is. Probability is the chance of something happening. So the chance of you going to get ice cream after school today, the chance of you getting snow on a snow day, the chance of it raining outside. Our example says there's 50% chance that it's going to rain today, which means there is half of a chance that it will rain today. It's a 50-50, mean it could or it couldn't happen. So typically, probability is just what might happen, what might not happen. It sounds like the word probably, and that means something that probably might happen or probably not. So probability is figuring out the chances of that. When we use probability in math, we are looking at a fraction form. We're going to write our probability outcomes in a fraction form. So in our previous lesson, we looked at this example. It says, what are the chances of me pulling a pink circle out of the circles below? So if I had a bag full of these little circles, what are the chances of me pulling a pink one out? First, what we're going to do is count how many pink ones there are, because that is going to be our numerator. If it said green, we would count the green ones. If it said a mint color, we would count the mint colored, but it says pink in the problem, so we're going to count the pink. There are 1, 2, 3, 4 pink circles. So 4 is our numerator, which is our part, and then the bottom number is our total. Our total here includes all of them, including the pink, green, mint, all of them. Out of all of them, there are 11 total circles. So my answer here would be 4 out of 11 circles. There's a 4 out of 11 chance that I could pull a pink one out of the bag. That means that we now have to pick, is this certain, impossible, unlikely, likely, or equally likely? Well, it's not certain and it's not impossible. Certain would mean it was an 11-11 chance. Impossible would mean it was a 0-11 chance. It's not equally likely because 11 is an odd number and you can't cut that in half evenly. So it's not equally likely. So we really have two choices left, likely or unlikely. I'm looking at 4 and I'm looking at 11. 4 out of 11 choices. That's not very good. That's not a lot. Now, if it was 7, that would be a much better odd. But with it only being 4, that is an unlikely option. So we are unlikely to pull a pink one out. It could happen. It is not impossible. There is 4 pink ones in there, but it's unlikely. I would not place a bet on that. All right, now we have the same example that says, what are the chances of me pulling a square out of the circles below? As you can see, they're all circles. So the chances of me pulling a square are 0. 0 still out of 11 because there are still 11 objects, okay? So 0 out of 11 chances. If there's 0 out of 11 chances, that means there's a 0% chance of this happening. That means it is what? Impossible. Very good. Yes, it's impossible. It's not going to happen. You cannot pull a square out of a bag that only has circles. We also looked at these 5 different words. We have impossible, unlikely, equally likely, likely, and certain. Impossible means it's not going to happen. It's just not. The possibility of your phone turning on and sucking you inside an Among Us game, that's impossible. That's not going to happen. It's a 0% chance. So something that is far-fetched, something that's just not going to happen is impossible. There are very few things that are truly impossible, okay? So impossible is usually not going to be a word that we would choose unless it was a situation like with our bag of circles here where there are no squares. If something doesn't make sense and it's impossible, then it's 0% chance, it's impossible. Unlikely means that it's probably not going to happen, but there's a slight chance that it could. So unlikely is anything that is less than 50%. So if it's a less than half of a chance of this working, then it's unlikely that it's going to work. So it could work, but it might not. So if the weatherman said there's a 30% chance of rain today, that means it's unlikely that it's going to rain, but it could happen. If the unlikely, let's think of another example. It's unlikely that you're going to find a $100 bill on the ground, but it's not impossible. You might do that, okay? So unlikely means that there's less than a 0.5% chance of it happening. Equally likely means there's exactly 50-50 chance. Means it could either go one way or the other. This is like true or false. There's only 2 options. It's either going to be true or false. There's a 50% chance it's going to be false. So, or 50% chance it's going to be true. So on your test, if you have a true or false question, you already have a 50% chance of getting it right. you have an equally likely chance of getting it right because you could go either way. It's either 50-50. With likely, that's if you have more than a 50% chance, okay? So this is something that is probably going to happen. It's like on a spinner, if you have like a huge section that's blue, it's probably going to land on blue. It's likely that it's going to land on blue because the majority of it is blue. Then we have certain. Certain means it's 100% chance of it happening. That would be me asking, hey, what are the chances of pulling a circle out of this bag of circles? That's an 11 out of 11% chance because they're all circles. So it's definitely going to be a circle that I pull out of there. That means it is certain, okay? So again, impossible means it's not going to happen. Picking a red marble out of this bag, there's no red marbles there. It's impossible. Unlikely outcome, getting a 1 on the first roll of the dice, we're probably not going to land on a 1. There's a 1 out of 6 chance of that happening. I keep saying percent. There's 1 out of 6 chance of that happening. That's not a very good percentage, so it's unlikely we're going to roll a 1. It could happen if we get lucky, but probably not. Equally likely is when we flip a coin, heads or tails. There's only 2 choices. It's either going to be heads or tails, 50-50. Most likely, or what we're just calling likely, is when there is a bigger section here. So it's likely that it's going to land on pink because it's the bigger section here. And then we have certain. Certain means that it's for sure 100% going to happen. This is a bag with only orange marbles in it, so it is certain that I'm going to pull an orange marble out. That is a certain outcome, okay? Now let's talk about possible combinations. Combinations are the list of different ways we can combine things. So what we're going to do is we're going to use an example of going to Chick-fil-A to show you what I mean, okay? Now, I'm also going to upload a short video showing you how to do this on paper because that is the best way to list all possible outcomes. Basically, outcomes or combinations mean the same thing. What you're going to do is you're going to count how many choices you've had up here. So I have 3 choices for this, and I had 3 choices for this. And what you can do to find out the total amount of combinations is multiply those 2 numbers together. So 3 times 3 would be 9. So I know that there are going to be 9 possible combinations, but on your test, they might ask you for a specific combination, or they might give you a list of all the possible combinations, and you have to make sure that it is listing them all. So I'm going to show you a way that we can list all of these combinations in a second, and then I'm also going to show you how to do that on paper because that's what you're going to be doing at home. So here we're going to Chick-fil-A. We have 3 main item choices. We have a chicken sandwich, an 8-count nugget, and a chicken wrap. Those are my 3 main choices, and then I get a side item, and I can choose waffle fries, fruit, or mac and cheese. So if we look over here, I've got us some area to set up. We're going to be making, they kind of look like a graph. They look kind of like tree roots going down, but we're going to list out all the different outcomes, okay? So this is actually kind of fun. So we're going to list our 3 main ones, and I'm not going to list the whole word. You can abbreviate them. I'm going to call chicken sandwich C for chicken sandwich. I'm going to call the nugget N for nug, and I'm going to put a W for the wrap. So you just want these to have 3 different letters so that you know which ones you're talking about. So in this category, I'm going to be talking about chicken sandwich. This one right here is nuggets, W for wrap. Now I'm going to list my possible choices. I could get a chicken sandwich with waffle fries, so I put WF for waffle fries. I could get a chicken sandwich with fruit, so I put CF for fruit. Or I could get a chicken sandwich with mac and cheese, so I put CM. So these are my 3 possible choices if I get a chicken sandwich, and those are my 3 options for the sides. Or I could get an 8-count nugget with waffle fries, a nugget with fruit, and a nugget with mac and cheese. And then I could also get a wrap with waffle fries, a wrap with fruit, and a wrap with mac and cheese. So here, all the ones in the green, these are the ones you're going to count. These are your 9 possible outcomes. So these up here, you don't count the pink ones. We're only counting the possible combinations or outcomes here, okay? So there are 9 possible combinations. You could get a chicken sandwich with waffle fries, a chicken sandwich with fruit, a chicken sandwich with mac and cheese, or you could get nuggets with waffle fries, nuggets with fruit, nuggets with mac and cheese, or you could get a wrap with waffle fries, a wrap with fruit, and a wrap with mac and cheese. So that's 9 possible combinations. Now, you're probably thinking, that's a lot of work to figure out the possible combinations. It is, but it's really not that difficult. All you have to do is list your first choice thing. Sometimes you're only going to have 2 choices as your main item and maybe 3 choices as your side item. There's possible combinations that you can do with that too. So if you did that, then you would just list the 2 main ones, and then below that you would list the possible choices with that thing, and then the side choice, that main item, and that side choice, that main item, and that side choice. So finding possible combinations is not super difficult. I do want you to go watch my other video though, because I also explain it on paper, and it gives it a little bit more of an explanation of what you're going to have to do to figure this out, because it's hard for me to show this on a Google slide. So if you have any questions, let me know. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll catch you later.